Alrighty, this is another show of iWalter. Welcome. It is 1:40 a.m. on Wednesday, and the date is April 22nd, 2015. I'm not sure if I really got any listeners besides just my friends, but I am trying and praying to God that I will get some more someday. I tell you one thing, though. I just had one of these nights once again. I don't know what keeps me going, I swear, I almost feel like I have to throw in the towel because people are so ignorant at my job. A bulk of them. I tell you, these people really just make you feel like you're worthless, that you're useless. I guess maybe I should go into that first. I had a couple stories I wanted to talk about, I guess, at least mention them. And some other topics, because I'm trying to keep the show, not in one format. I want to make sure I can do whatever I feel like talking about or whatever. Anyway, I was at work, and, like always, and you got all these people at my job that are on overtime. And I hate to say it, but they do the minimum amount of work as possible. And I think the thing that drives me nuts, I try to be very nice to people. I try to do my job. And all I ask, it sounds like I'm asking for your hand in marriage, but all I ask for is just human respect, because you got these people, and it's not just at work, but work is the focus of my life, because by the time I get out of bed, I'm just going to work. I go to bed very early in the morning, and I get up late. I have no time really to do anything else anyway. So, I just don't understand what is so hard about being respectful to others. And people expect it out of you, but they don't think that it's supposed to be reciprocated back to you. They just assume that, that's something like a little kid would do. But it just drives me really crazy, and that's a very short drive. But, am I asking too much to treat me like a human being? You got these people, even at my job, and I've seen it out other places too, and the worst are these people who act like, hey, I'm a humanitarian, I believe in treating people with respect, and people should treat me with respect. That's the way I do think. And I try to practice what I preach. But these people who act like they're humanitarians really are not. And, I don't know what else to say. It's just like, the only way you're going to get that reciprocated back to you is if you treat me with respect. But when you start treat me like a pile of dog shit and expect me to treat you with the utmost respect when you're just really disrespecting me, it's not going to happen. I hate to tell you this. The world is, people nowadays are so self-absorbed, so self-centered. It's really sad. So anyway, what started this whole shenanigans early tonight on my show was I was at work, and I was like asking some people, because you want to get some type of listener base. I am hoping to still do that. So I asked somebody, because most of the people aren't too bad, or at least they try to act like they wear their heart on their sleeve. But sometimes I kind of have to scratch my head and ask, do you really think that you do? Because your actions and your words are completely, like you're contradicting yourself. Like your nonverbal communication and the way you're saying that you are on two different levels. So anyway, I just asked tonight. I just try to be nice. I said, hey, maybe, I was in this one room that I got to clean and work in, because I'm not going to deny it. I'm a glorified janitor, what I do. Anyone with less than a high school diploma, probably even who graduated from nursery school, could do my job. It's not rocket science, and it doesn't take much to do it. If you have two arms and you have a mouth, let me take that back. If you have two arms and you're able to use them in two legs, that's basically all you need to do my job. And it pays really well. It's got excellent benefits. So, I mean, but the people I work for who are, in so many words or less, I guess, above me, co-workers, they act like I am real. I mean, it feels this way. I'm not saying it's true, but like I am so subservient to them. Like, and you're the one who's supposed to be humanitarians. But yet, if I talk to you, it's like, why is this subservient peasant talking to me? That's how it makes me feel. Very short, very curt with me. Like they just don't want to be bothered. And, I remember when I was in high school, I guess. Actually, I remember this from in college, which I was shocked. But when you ask somebody something and they act like you're too busy, and then they turn around and just start talking to somebody else, and they weren't busy at all. They're just trying to give you a blow off. And this, I went to an all-girls school practically, the one I went to, which was Cabrini College. And I think it got a lot better. I honestly do. But there was a lot of cattiness and a lot of petty behavior from some of the girls that I had to deal with on a daily basis as classmates, whatever. So, but it got to the point. It really just made me want to I got to get out of this place as soon as possible. But when you deal with this on a business level, that's really kind of scary because it's kind of funny actually. Well, it's not funny. But, I mean, basically, the people who work above me, I was telling a friend tonight, I said, it's like we used to have this place called Stroman Bread in Conchie, and it's actually outside of Norristown, Pennsylvania. That's where they made the bread. And I think we had Stroman now. And you could smell it all the time. But anyway, why I'm bringing that up was these people, they do a job that's equivalent to making bread. There is no difference whatsoever. It's just the finished product and the product, I'm trying to think, the ingredients are different. The process is exactly the same. So you're treating me like I'm dog shit under your shoe and that I'm subservient, but yet what you're doing is basically anyone who can read a recipe out of a cookbook could do the exact same job you do and not have that kind of bad attitude that goes with it. So that's my problem. And it isn't a problem for me because when you try to be nice to somebody, when you even try to make small talk and you get blown off, now I had this at Cabrini too, where I wrote this one time, because I don't know her last name, and it doesn't matter because there's a million of them. There was this girl named Mary Beth. This is going off track again. And I was over at a friend's dorm on Cabrini, and he was hanging out with a bunch of friends of his at this party, and I said to him, hey, can I study in your room? Because I really can't study at home. Do you mind me just hanging out in your dorm room? I just want to get some studying done. I'm not interested in going to your friend's party. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. So anyway, this guy was nice. I basically didn't really get much studying done because when it's too quiet, that's just as bad as having, a bit of noise. So I ended up getting to the point, I was like, okay, I got to leave anyway. I got classes in the morning. This is, again, going astray. And I try to go to the dorm room where he was in with these friends. So every single time I knocked on the door, there was this girl. Her name was Mary Beth. I don't know her last name. She saw me, and with just one glimpse, she just slammed the door right in my face. So other people came to this door for this girl's dorm room, and she let him in. She was talking to him and everything and it was like, oh, wait, maybe she just didn't, something went wrong. So I did it again, and she slammed the door in my face again. Then other people came to the door for this dorm room, and she let him in. She was talking to him. So she was really just pretending I wasn't even there, that I was some piece of shit under her shoe. And I was like, what is your problem? So I wear them today, but not the same ones, but I had these Doc Martens on. And I basically knocked on the door. She opened it up, and quickly, when she saw my face, she tried to slam the door in my face again. This was like the third or fourth time. So I finally got to the point, it was like, you know what? I'm going to like kind of think above her IQ level. And I stuck my foot in the door, and she fell on her back. She like literally pushed the door so hard, trying to slam it in my face for no reason. I don't even know who she was. I still don't. And she slammed the door so hard on my foot that I didn't feel anything, because I think they were kind of like steel tips. Or plus, they have those really thick rubber soles. So this girl fell on her ass, and guess what she said? She said, "You're a fucking asshole." She said, "You just pushed me." And I said, "No, I didn't." I ignored her actually at that point. I called the guy who was the person that was a friend of mine. I said, "Listen, dude, I'm going home. I just want to give your keys back to your dorm," because I was ready just to walk out anyway. And it's like he needed his keys to go back into his dorm room, so I couldn't leave, and I was ready to, trust me. So it turned out to be that every guy in that room said, "Yeah, we saw you push this Mary Beth." And it was like, if you would have saw or had seen that my foot was in the door and that she was slamming the door continuously on my face, and you weren't playing playing that chivalrous act that you got to act like, "Oh, I'm a gentleman and nobody ever touches a woman." Well, I didn't touch her. I put my foot in the door. So, and I remember I saw her on campus elsewhere, and she would just rant and rave and call me a fucking asshole. And it was like, okay, so it's all right for you to slam a door in my face, but if I don't even touch you but defend myself, I'm automatically the bad guy. So anyway, how this leads into what I was originally going to tell everybody was that it's just like, this is what I've dealt with all my life, was people that are just extremely ignorant. So tonight I asked some people, I asked a person, I said, "Hey, do you want to listen to my radio show?" These are supposed to be professionals. When you get paid hand over fist in money, and you're making something for somebody, no matter what it is, or you're doing some service that is supposed to be for somebody else, if it's perishables or making some type of medicine for somebody, that's a professional job, so of some sort. So I'm at my job. I asked these people. They weren't doing anything. They were literally just sitting there doing nothing anyway. They were doing some stuff, some type of work I have no clue about. And I just asked them, "Hey, while you're sitting here, why don't you listen to my podcast?" And the one woman said, "Well, maybe some other time, because right now we don't have time." I'm kind of paraphrasing, because we're kind of busy. So I said, "Okay, I understand." So I turned around, and before I even stepped away, they turned on internet radio and blasted it so loud, I think my molars in my mouth were ready to pop out. And it's like, wait a minute, you just told me that you don't have the time to listen to a podcast, but you can blast some music, some dance music, so extremely loud that the windows almost shattered. I'm exaggerating, but that is like, okay, this reminds me about being back at college and how I got treated back at college. It's the same thing again. Like, people don't know when, it's like you lie to somebody, you lie to their face, and you don't even try to pretend that you're lying, and you make some poor, inexcusable excuse, and you don't think it's going to affect the way I think. So I got so mad, I just they kind of got I seriously doubt it though, the drift that, listen, you don't treat people disrespectful, because it's like me if I kick a dog and don't expect the dog to bite me. Because I remember this is another story. I had a friend who used to be kind of abusive, I guess, to he had a dog. And that dog hated him. Like, the dog would growl at him and bite him and everything. It was his dog. So the bottom line is, it's just that was an animal, but every living being or every living thing has some type of feelings. And for some reason, people don't realize, but I have feelings too. So that was just basically, I wasted most of my time. So this show is going to probably go a little longer tonight. I really don't care. But yeah, people, you got to understand, you may not think, and I guess that goes for anybody, any race, religion, sexual preference. People have feelings. So acting like they don't, that is not true. And I'm one for that. I remember years ago, one of my favorite movies, I used to break out crying all the time, was this movie about John Merrick. It was called The Elephant Man by David Lynch, the film. And it would put me in tears because it was the same kind of abuse I got in high school. And I remember this one part, being mentally abused. I got severely mentally abused in high school and in middle school. Never happened really in like my earlier grades. But my point is, though, that when I was like watched this, the one part that stuck in my mind even till to this day was the part that in the movie they said, do you think he's does he have a conscience? Does he have a brain? Because he was so disfigured, they assumed that he was just a vegetable. And they said, well, we pray to God for the way he looked and the way he was treated, that he wasn't aware of what was going on around him, which he was aware. And that's the way I feel. People somehow are unaware, like I'm this disfigured person who wears a satchel over my head and has no emotions when they are very disrespectful to me. And I hate to tell you, I do know what you're doing to me, and I don't appreciate it. And it makes me wonder, I don't approve of this, but when I hear about these school shootings or these kids who plan these manslaughters in their schools, I hate to say it, but I almost empathize with those kids. Not that I'm going to go do that, but I can understand why they do that, because it's because of the peer pressure. And you got these kids, young girls and young boys, if they're not acting outwardly, they're going to end up committing suicide. And it's like, no wonder why. We live in such a cruel society, and everybody acts like it is not, but it is. So anyway, I'm going to lead from that on to my first story I wanted to read, and it was something I heard on a radio show I listened to. You know what? At this point, I really don't care if people don't like what I listen to. That's on them, not me. But I do listen to Rush Limbaugh. And he was mentioned the other day that there's more American volunteers, volunteers for ISIS. And it's like, you got to be kidding when I heard that. So there's a lot of articles on the fact that it's not just our country, but other countries. But ours is just like, they're popping up. Like they think that's like the new thing to do is become a member of ISIS. So I pulled the one article that was the simplest for tonight, and it was on CNN's webpage. And I don't know when it was dated, but it says more Americans volunteering to help out ISIS. It's amazing. And it states more than 20,000 foreigners have gone to fight ISIS. To fight the cause for ISIS. I mean, this is really scary. This is a society that we live in nowadays. So that is the most crucial one. I'm going to break it up for at least a second because I want to just kind of make a plug, I guess, as Stern would always say. But I just gave money tonight because I love her. It's actually a drag queen, but she really looks hot. I mean, I've seen drag queens. They look like guys. Some people say, oh, she looks like a guy too. And it was like, because they're men dressed up in drag. But anyway, it was Courtney Act, and she is trying to raise money so she can put out a new EP. And I love her. I think she is like adorable. Now, I'm not gay. I have nothing against gay people, but I just love Courtney Act. And I love everything about her. I think she's incredible. So I gave like $25 towards her cause. So, and I'd give even more if I could afford to, trust me, because she was on last season's show of RuPaul, and unfortunately she didn't win. So I kind of understand why, but it does, in other ways, it doesn't make sense. I think she should have won. So again, it's on, if you want to, if you're interested, if you're listening. She's got her thing on Kickstarter.com, and she's trying to get money for her new album. It's called Courtney Act Kaleidoscope EP. So, I love her to death. I think she's great. I love to meet her in person, but I doubt it'll ever happen. Like, you could have met her in person, but you would have to be willing to fork out $500, and I hate to say it, but I can't afford that. I did that last year. I actually saw Pat Benatar and her husband, and I did fork out $500, but it was like, you know what? I can't afford to do that again. And I actually did it for David Tennant and Billy Piper because they're going to be down in Philadelphia. So, but yeah, that adds up. I think the rest of my show I'm going to try to keep lighter, but I was happy because right now I am watching Daredevil, thanks to the guest I had on the other night. And the shows are an hour long. It's on Netflix. I'd have to say that show is incredible, though. But it's not meant for children. It's actually it really is meant for adults. And it is a drama. It's a very serious drama. It's very darkly lit. And the other thing is, though, it's very violent. I mean, I love horror movies. And how does this pertain to Daredevil? Well, it has a lot, in my opinion. Because there was a couple episodes I had seen, actually almost every one, somewhere in there, that somebody's getting their bones like literally like there's bones breaking through the skin. I mean, it's that bad. And it goes beyond that. Some guy got his head beaten into a pulp until it just basically exploded, pretty much. So, yeah, this is not for children. So, but, I mean, overall, the show itself is very intelligently written. I didn't know, by the way. I found out, I looked it up, that this was something that was created by Stan Lee. So I'm supposed to see him soon with Kevin Smith in Jersey at some event. I didn't get the meet and greet because the man asked a lot of money, but I honestly didn't realize that Stan Lee did that. So it's a very intelligently written show. It's very much so for adults. But yeah, they're talking. They already renewed it on Netflix for a second season, so I'm happy about that. And probably, fortunately, you watch all the episodes now, you're going to be waiting a long time. So. And it's based out of New York. So most of all Stan Lee's and all the superheroes are all based upon some fictional version of New York. Well, this actually is New York. So anyway, another lighter note story. This was pretty funny. It was on NBCnews.com. And it says Colorado man ends battle with computer by shooting it 8 times. It's very funny, and it's Adele, so I'm not surprised he would get pissed off about it. But he is a cop, and I guess it's just to show that cops can act, be lighthearted was the whole premise of this story. He did it for fun. He didn't do it out of being, probably partially serious. But yeah, he actually shot up his computer because he got tired of it. But then there was other stories within this because there's a video and they show like these cops in Colorado actually got together and did this thing since it's legal, and they basically had this pot fest, smoking pot. So it's pretty funny. And again, that was on NBC News webpage. So another one I was reading. I got a couple more to read, but I'll make them quick. Uproxx, that one website, it's Uproxx as in UPROXX.com. They're talking about, because Star Trek's 50th anniversary is coming up. They want to make some type of, Star Trek series again, but they're not sure. So they decided that maybe they're going to take the movie of Galaxy Quest, which was basically a loosely based movie, and in the world of Star Trek, but making fun of it in a fan base way. So they actually, it's saying that they're trying to they're considering making a Galaxy Quest TV series. It's just like a food for thought kind of thing, I would guess. So, yeah, and it's funny because I hate to say it, I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and our 50th anniversary had, it came and it's gone. It was last year, so nah. Anyway, that was for the Star Trek fans. Yeah, there's something for them to look forward to. The next story I wanted to read. It was Up Rocks also. I saw this on Facebook, and it was like, I hate insects. I can't stand them. I have some type of phobia against insects. Well, probably because I'm allergic to bees too. So this one was right up my alley. There's these 2-inch size hornets, and they have a picture of it, and it looks humongous. I mean, it's the size. There's this guy holding one of these hornets, and they actually come from China. And they're working their way now into France and possibly Britain, and they could easily get into this country. But these Asian hornets, they look fake because they're so huge. They're massively big. I mean, they're the size of your hand. Now, they don't look intimidating, but they're dangerous because it's said that the ones from Japan or China, 28 people got killed or injured. Well, 28 people got killed and hundreds of others were injured in China alone. But yeah, these hornets are making their way across the coastline, I guess, or not the coastline, but across Europe at least, and they are massively big. If you look at them, they don't look like they would be dangerous, but yeah, they could kill you. And plus they're huge. I mean, they're really big. But it says millions of 2-inch hornets are probably on their way to kill you. That was the title of the story. And they actually show from the remake a scene from Nicolas Cage in that Wicker Man remake. But yeah, that's pretty scary because I just don't like insects. I can't stand bees. I hate spiders. Even the 4-legged ones, the tarantulas. I don't care. I know. I just don't like. I don't like anything that wears that has an exoskeleton. How's that? So, anyway, there was a story that was earlier today, and that was on the Dreamin' Demon, and it was about this guy. It looks like Ken Worthington, charged with having sexual relationship with a 12-year-old student. Now, the funny thing is, it was consensual, and yeah, they're making a big huff about it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, and they're not posting this guy any bail. They're not giving him like, okay, you can get out on like this amount of bail. He has no set bail. So the funny thing was, I liked the way this guy wrote Morbid. I'm just going to look at this one thing because I thought it was really funny. I'm going to try to read it too. Oh, yeah, okay, here it is. It says, since he is a male teacher dipping his wick into a 12-year-old girl's wax, I doubt he's going to get a slap on the wrist, as it often is seen in similar cases involving female teachers with their male students. So there you go. I'm glad somebody actually openly admitted to that women obviously get away with things that males do not get away with. And it was funny because there's a video that goes along with it, and it was definitely consensual. The girl basically had not an iPhone, not an iPad. She had that other device from Apple. It's basically looks like an iPhone. And she had an alias name for him and her so they can converse, and they had sex at the school, basically. The guy was, I believe, he was 27 years old. She was 12. Now, and he was married too, but I don't think he had any kids. Now, these female teachers, they're like in their 30s, and most of them actually have kids the same age as the kid they're having sex with. but they always somehow they get away with it miraculously. This guy, they're going to find a way. They fired him already, but they're going to find a way to nail him to the cross. So I don't know. I just had to bring that up. Yeah, so that was something, and that again, it says Fox 10, so I don't know. It gives a location, but it was actually if you go to a web link called thedreamingdemon.com, just look for the article that's titled Ken Worthington charged with having sexual relationship with a 12-year-old student. And that was today. It was said April 21st, 2015 when it was posted. Next story was another Dream and Demon story. I think I got a lot of them. This one's kind of heart-touching, but it's just ridiculous. And I'm trying to look for where it was located, but it says Taylor Fast charged after blaming spider bite for toddler's beating. It says St. Louis. So the woman is 21 years old. She had 2 kids. Both kids were severely beaten at some point in time. But she had a daughter who was only a few months old and a son not much older. And the son had a broken leg. Now, she claimed that her daughter, which was only, the daughter is only 17 months old. And she called the police saying that, my daughter got bitten by a spider. When I came over, the one police officer said it looked like the child was in a severe car accident, because that's how badly beaten the child was. She's an adorable little kid. She is now dead, thanks to the mother. And she was trying to blame it on a spider bite. And they looked at the child. The child was dead for like hours after she called. They said like 7 hours after the fact that this woman called and said, my daughter just got stung by a spider and she's dead now. And it was like, no, you beat the crap out of this poor kid. So I hate to say it, this would be one of these things, or probably would be that she'll serve a little time in jail, but she had 2 children and she abused both of them. She beat them to death, the one. And how much you want to bet she'll be out of jail probably within either a few months to like a few years. She won't serve any serious sentence unless it's really something that you can't even sweep under the rug. So that was the one story. I know this. I apologize. My show's going to be a lot longer. I'm actually hitting almost over half an hour. So I don't mean to keep on dragging this out. I know I kept this one up for a reason, so I'm going to leave this. But there was another story, and this was NBCnews.com, and it says Utah woman gets up to life in prison in the death of 6 newborns. So this was in, it looks like Provo, Utah. I know I probably got that wrong. Anyway, yeah, this woman pleaded guilty to the death of 6 newborns, and she basically stuck the newborns in her garage, the bodies. So, and her name was Megan Huntsman. So how did this woman get pregnant that many times? And then obviously successfully not only get pregnant, but was able to, kill these children, these babies, newborns. Like she basically killed them and left them in the garage. So that must have smelled pretty rancid. And the only thing I can say, because I don't want to go into a large amount on this article, if you want to read it, like I said, it's on NBC News' website, NBC News website. It just says NBCnews.com, so it's nothing like NBC 10 or anything like that. But, hey, one thing she's got in her favor is that she doesn't have my father, because I live with my parents, and my dad, no matter what I throw out, even if I throw a snot rag in the trash can, he's gonna find it. So finding what is that? She's going to serve life imprisonment, which I really doubt it. That's what they're saying now. They said at least 30 years, but life in prison for this woman. But yeah, if she would have done this shit at my house, trust me, my dad would have found it after the first, newborn was thrown in the garage dead, because my dad, he won't let any stone unturned, especially when it comes to me. He would have dug up those bodies like a dog searching for a fucking bone. Sorry about that. So yeah, that was my story about Courtney again. So anyway, yeah, this one about twice as long as I normally would go from just doing a solo act. But I hope you enjoyed my show. I apologize about that last word. I kept it pretty clean this time for doing all my own. So I might have to mark that, because that would be, probably pushing it with that one word. But I'll see. I might let it go, and hopefully it won't get me flagged. But, folks, I hope you enjoyed my show again, and I'm going to call tonight and watch some more of the Daredevil. I would recommend that show, by the way. Hey, have a good night.